The first two generations of the Nissan Qashqai had the 1.5 diesel engine as one of the options. In the third generation, presented in 2021, this engine is no longer an option, but hundreds of thousands of these diesel Qashqai models were sold in Europe and the UK, so I want to look at the reliability and some key features of this engine. First of all, the 1.5 diesel under the bonnet of the Qashqai is the K9K Renault engine. This is a legendary diesel engine with a good background, solid engineering, and literally millions of copies sold in Europe within this engine's history. And the engine is quite good, it can last long, it's very economical in terms of fuel consumption, and it doesn't require a lot of attention. But you should keep in mind that in later model years, Renault added the AdBlue system to these engines and it spoiled everything. The AdBlue equipment doesn't seem reliable and requires a lot of attention, which may be quite expensive after the Qashqai gets to 100,000 kilometers of mileage. When it comes to the engine itself, the 1.5 diesel still has several common issues. First of all, you should keep in mind the timing belt replacement interval. In older engines, Renault stated the interval of 4 years or 60,000 kilometers. Later, marketing teams became more important than engineering teams, and the interval was set to 5 or 8 years and up to 120,000 or even 160,000 kilometers depending on the model. This is insane, and it makes sense to keep replacing the belt kits once every 4 or 5 years or 60,000-70,000 kilometers. I've seen tons of broken belts at 100,000 kilometers, with valves and pistons being fatally damaged. Secondly, there is a very bad oil change requirement for some markets that says you should change oil once every 2 years or 30,000 kilometers. This is a very bad idea, since these K9K engines have an extremely common problem with rod bearings, and once the oil is contaminated, there is a risk of rod bearing failure, which will most likely lead to engine replacement rather than repair. In engines that stick to the 30,000 kilometer oil change interval, rod bearings usually fail at around 200,000 kilometers. If you change oil once every 10,000 kilometers, the engine may go up to 500,000 kilometers. Also, I know guys who replace rod bearings once every 100,000 kilometers to avoid this fatal issue. But I personally think it's a little too much, and a proper oil change is enough to let them last long enough. The fuel injection system in these diesel engines was made by Siemens and marketed as Continental, and it's a very expensive system that hates any issues with fuel. If you own a Qashqai with the 1.5 diesel engine, avoid any experiments with fuel quality because they may cost you a fortune in the end. This Siemens injection system is very hard to repair, and the parts cost unbelievably much. And I would say this is pretty much it for common problems. If you maintain this engine with common sense intervals and use high quality parts and fluids, it may last up to 400,000 or even 500,000 kilometers without serious faults, but bad maintenance will kill the engine much earlier than that. Also, the 1.5 diesel Qashqais were equipped with the 7-speed DCT transmission made by Getrag along with Mercedes, and if you change the fluid and filters in this transmission once every 60,000 kilometers, they may last much longer than the CVT that comes with petrol engines. Alternatively, there were manual gearboxes that could last forever.